Hey, this is Jennifer and Megan. We are two sisters from South Carolina on a mission to discover more about our British grandmother's life in London by reading, researching, and sharing her love letters she wrote during World War II. If you're looking for an interesting, unique perspective on life, love, and London during World War II, then you've found the right place. We will take you through each letter and bring them to life as we have recently traveled to some of the exact places mentioned in these letters. Think of this as a historic love story come to life. So grab your favorite beverage and blanket and prepare to dive in with us. This is the All My Love, Lucy podcast. Hey, and welcome back to the All My Love, Lucy podcast. We're so glad you're here with us for episode number 13. Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe it.
Every time I say what episode we're on, I'm like, I can't believe we've done this many episodes. But anyway, before we get started, we want to just let you know that we're doing a little bit of a different format. What'd you call it a while ago?
Improv?
Yeah, kind of improv and spur of the moment. Not really, but we are going to go off script a little bit tonight, which is a different format than what we usually do. We're still going to read the letter and talk about the letter, but the last three letters that we have from Lucy are kind of one day, the next day, the next day. They're like back to back to back. So not a lot has happened historically that we can really talk about. Jimmie's basically doing the same thing. She's basically doing the same thing. So, I mean, we could go and pull some random fun facts, but we thought we would just go unscripted, basically. I have a few things to talk about, but so also before we get started with the letter, we want to recognize that today is March 31st, and that is 18 years since our dad passed away, which is Lucy and Jimmie's only son. And he adored them. They adored him. And we wanted to take a moment to talk about him because we know that he would be...
He would be ecstatic about all of this.
Absolutely. He would be all over it. Mm-hmm. He'd probably be sitting right here.
Oh, yeah, right in the middle of us.
He sure would. And with all the technology, he's been gone 18 years, but with all the advancements in technology now, he would have found everybody.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's still alive, he would have probably already found them for us. Because he was all into the genealogy and the family tree before he passed away. And a lot of that information is lost to us because we could never get into his computer, and I don't even know where it is now, but we could never get the information that he had discovered. And so we can only imagine what he would find if he were still with us.
Yeah. There's no telling what and all kind of information he had. Probably just so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he would probably be going to London with us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
He would be ecstatic that we have connected with Mary and Jack and Beth and Ray and all of their family. He would be ecstatic about that. And he was really close to Lucy's brother David's grandson, Philip. I think it's grandson, right? Yeah, grandson. And so I wonder if he's still living. I have not been able to find him. But I know our dad would really be all over that and probably have already connected with him. Mm-hmm. They probably would have. I wonder if they stayed connected.
I don't know.
Because when he would go over to London to visit, they would go to Cambridge, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, and visit David and Edith. Or not, David was already passed away, but they would visit Edith and Margaret and all of them. So anyway, I would love to have his brain right now to pick about all of it. Mm-hmm. So we miss him, and we wanted to take a moment to remember him and talk about him for a minute because he would just love it.
Yeah, I'll never forget when I was little, he would always ask me, you going to go to London with me? Or are we going to go to London together? Are you coming with me? And I'd be like, no, I'm not getting on an airplane and going across the ocean.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Already did it. Yeah.
I wish we could have got to take that trip together. That would have been incredible.
Me too. He would have loved it. And back in September, we said several times that we wish he could have been with us. Mm-hmm. So, but we wanted to take this moment. Do what?
He was. He was with us.
He was, yeah, he was with us. I believe that, and I believe Lucy was with us too. Like we've talked about that too, and but we just wanted to take that time to a moment on this day, on the anniversary of his death 18 years ago, to remember him and talk about him for a moment. And it's also Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter.
Happy Easter. So, as I said before, this is a little bit different format. We are still going to read the letter. So let's get started with that letter. Letter number 13, which I said before, is dated just one day after the last letter that we read. So again, there's not a lot of, and it's not a real long letter. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't a lot of meat in it to pull from. So, but let's get started anyway.
It's still a good letter.
Oh yeah, they all are. Yeah.
Yeah. July 21st, 1944. My darling Jimmie, I was so happy to receive your letter when I came home this evening, and I just had to leave off cleaning so as to write you a few lines. Darling, do you remember the evening when you called unexpectedly and I was in the midst of sweeping, but even that evening I could not settle down until I had written to you?
So I was reading that and I thought, he called her?
I know.
I didn't. I know. I thought, I didn't think they could call. And so I started looking at it. I was like, could the soldiers in World War II call home? And so when it came to talking to friends and family members, as we see here in these letters, of course, they did it the old-fashioned way by writing letters, but phones were sometimes available. And I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Now, the occurrences were rare and kind of unpredictable. Like they wouldn't have really known that they were going to be able to use the phone. So it wasn't a common occurrence, but it did happen. And so he evidently called her, which I was shocked.
Yeah, that's something else.
That is something else.
She goes on to say, it gives me a lot of pleasure to know you are pleased with your ring. I should have been so disappointed if it had not been to your liking. Darling, everyone admires mine, and I am so proud of it. It is the loveliest and most costly thing I have ever had, and because you have given it to me, it is my most treasured possession.
And I just want to take a moment to show this ring again. I know we've shown it before, but it's just beautiful. And any opportunity that we have to talk about it and show it, it's just so beautiful. I hope the camera is showing it good. Y'all can see that. As we've talked about multiple times about going to the ring shop, that was a great experience. And we know the date they went, May the 4th. And when we went to London, we were shocked at the street that it was on. Mm-hmm. It was it reminded me of like Fifth Avenue in New York with all the like Gucci and what else? Tiffany's. We went in Tiffany's. Mm-hmm. Quickly realized that is not the world I belong in. And what else? I mean, it was just all those stores like that there were guards at the door.
Mm-hmm. That's very neat to see. It was very different from what we're used to.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. 100%. So, but that was a lot of fun. And just to think about them going in there, walking in that store together to buy her ring that that's her most treasured possession. She talks about it a lot. And I remember as growing up, she wore it all the time. And I've taken it to a jeweler before, and one of the diamonds is cracked a little bit. And I would guess because she wore it in everyday like life, probably, I don't know if she wore it washing dishes, but she wore it every day. Aww. So I'm sure she'd hit it on stuff. And so.
Yeah. She goes on to say, I am so glad you have been able to get a little relaxation and that you enjoyed the show.
That too. He must have had some downtime.
Yeah, must have.
Because I don't really, in the book, now I may not have read the part, but they must have been kind of in between some conflicts here. And he must have been able to have some downtime where he could go go to a show. I don't know what show. I really wish we had his letters during this time period. And do you know that our mom said it's possible there's another box somewhere?
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
His medals may be in there, and there could be more letters.
Wow. Where is this box at, and why don't we have it already?
Do you want me to say this on air?
I don't know.
It's in a closet.
Oh, okay.
It's in a closet somewhere that is hard to get to right now. So we'll have to dig and get in there. We'll have to dig and try to find the box. It's probably at the bottom of a lot of things in a closet. Mm-hmm. But she says she thinks there's a box somewhere. I did not know that.
I didn't either.
I said I'm coming over there today.
I know, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we'll have to. That'll have to be on our to-do list. Mm-hmm. To try to find that, yeah. Because I would love to have his letters. Because I'm sure he had to have told her about that.
Yeah.
For her to be talking about it. He told her what show he went to. I want to know.
I know, I do too.
I want to know what it is.
She goes on to say, I am sorry you have not heard from home so long. But darling, I expect you will receive them all together, as they have doubtless been held up on both sides. Your first letters to me were held up 8 or 9 days, and I think some of mine to you must have been taken about 6 days.
So that's probably, we talked about the post office, the postal service, and some of the post offices being bombed, and it may have taken longer because of that, or the censor, or different reasons like that. So it could very well have been that his letters from home, I don't know. Because we do have a few letters from people, from his family members from home, but I don't know how many. I thought there was something. I looked up and thought there was something on the ceiling. It's just I don't know what that is. Oh, that was funny. But, yeah, I don't know. And we have several letters. We have some from his brothers who were also in the service, and we have a couple from his mother. And there may be some more, but there may be some in that box.
Maybe.
the mystery box.
I know. We gotta find it. To this box.
Yeah, we gotta find it.
Darling, please do not worry about the fly bombs. We do get them both day and night, but we don't take much notice of them, except keep away from glass when the doors and windows rattle. Of course, they do keep one awake at night, but tomorrow night I shall sleep very peacefully at Cambridge, and I hope I dream of my darling.
So that's kind of what I talked about a little bit before, about how I had read that they were kind of like over Hitler controlling their lives. And they wanted to, the people of London, they wanted to not go about their business without worrying about the bombs. But I read an article, I'm going to read it here from the BBC. There was an article where this guy said the frequency of air raid warnings got so high that taking heed would completely prevent all normal activity. And he goes on to say, for the first time in my school days, I had determined never to be late. And he said, no way was I going to let Hitler dominate my life any longer, air raid warning or not. I rode to Sloan School and, thumbing my nose at Hitler, arrived on time without fail every day. And then when the V-2 rockets began to fall, there was no warning and no way to hide anyway. Once you heard the explosion, followed by the whine of its supersonic arrival, it was obvious that some other poor soul had bought it. So that's kind of what we were talking about before, how there were so many that it would have completely shut your life down if you took shelter every single time. So I thought that was interesting that even Lucy says that they kept away from the glass. Because I've read about that too, where they would just move away from the glass when it would start rattling.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine.
I can't either. Living like that, living in that fear.
Day to day.
And I told you about Mary's grandmother, wasn't it? Our cousin Mary's grandmother. She was telling about, her mother was talking about her and her grandmother hiding under the table when they would hear the bombs, and they would hear that silence, and it would terrify them. because they would be buzzing. The doodle bugs, they would be buzzing. And then when it was shut off, you had 12 seconds to take cover. Mm-hmm. I was telling Scarlett Ann that, and she said, 12 seconds? That's no time. I said, yeah, I know. Be hard to get anywhere safe in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So I guess you would just be, you would be tired of it, taking cover constantly.
Mm-hmm. She goes on to say, good night and God bless you, my dear love, and keep you safe always. With all my love, from your Lucy.
So that was a short and sweet letter. Mm-hmm. But we did want to talk a little bit more about Cambridge. She said she's going to sleep peacefully when she goes to Cambridge. And so we've made, I told you last time, we have made some discoveries about Cambridge. Grandma Lucy's brother David and Edith, his wife Edith, they lived in Cambridge with their family lived there. And David died in, I believe, 1932 or 36, somewhere around there. But she was evidently close to Edith, her sister-in-law. And so this is who she's going to stay with. And so I had gotten on one of the Facebook pages for Cambridge, and there was one lady on there who started pouring all this information to me, telling me about who David and Edith's children were, and grandchildren, and all of that. And so that's what I was talking about, my name. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always known that I was named after somebody that was in Grandma Lucy's circle. I didn't know if it was a friend or a family member, and our mom didn't know that either. Mama didn't know. And so I have this picture, and I'll put these pictures up, but I have these pictures of this Jennifer and her brother Philip. And I never really knew who they were because there were no last names on the photos. And so Grandma was close to Muriel and close to Marion, and I didn't know who Margaret was even, because none of the pictures of Margaret have a last name. And so that lady she just gave me all their history, and come to find out, the Jennifer that I'm named after is Grandma Lucy's brother David's granddaughter. So David and Edith had Margaret, and Margaret, you go family tree. David and Edith had Margaret. Margaret and her husband had Philip and Jennifer. So that's who I'm named after.
That is just awesome.
I know. All my life, I've kind of known that it was from someone over there, but I didn't know exactly who. So the mystery for my name has finally been solved. I finally know. Aren't you glad?
I'm so happy for you. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but these pictures have always been a mystery. I've always wondered who they were. And unfortunately, Grandma Lucy passed away when I was very young, and a year before Megan was born. So I was too young to really get involved and learn from her. I would give anything to go back and listen to her talk about all of this in person. Mm-hmm. And then our dad passed away, like we said, 18 years ago. And so all the information that he had about our family tree is lost with him, except for what we have in the boxes. So we have a few things that are printed out genealogy wise, but yeah, wish we could talk to him too. Like we said.
Me too.
So that's the end of this episode. A little bit, like we said, a little bit different format. And so we will continue next week. Next week, I believe, is when she tells us about what she did in Cambridge. So it's got a little bit more to talk about that's different. Because these letters are back to back to back. So next week, she tells about her weekend in Cambridge. But she doesn't tell names. Again, she doesn't tell names, but we know who she was with. So we will continue on this journey. And if you don't want to miss any of our episodes, make sure to subscribe to our channel, our Podbean, follow on Podbean if you're listening on Podbean. like and follow on our Facebook page, all of the above. And we do have our email address if you want to email us, allmylovelucy@gmail.com. You got anything else you want to say?
I don't know. We've been going live on Facebook.
That's right.
Every Sunday after we do our episodes. So if you want to tune into that and watch us edit our episodes and ask us questions or, just hang out with us. We're not doing anything really special. Just kind of.
That's right. I almost forgot about that. We're fixing to do it now.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
It has been fun.
We're not doing it's nothing formal. It's just we're on there editing. And so we have to sit here and wait for a long time. Mm-hmm. And we just go on there and whoever wants to pop up and chat with us for a minute. You don't have to stay the whole time because we're on there a good while, but that's been fun.
It has been fun. Yeah. I was really nervous and terrified to do it at first.
But it's been so good. Yeah, it's been fun.
I've enjoyed it.
I have too, a lot. So don't forget about that. And also, as always, we will end the episode with an uninterrupted reading of this letter. So until next time, we hope y'all enjoy. July 21st, 1944. My darling Jimmie, I was so happy to receive your letter when I came home this evening, and I just had to leave off cleaning so as to write you a few lines. Darling, do you remember the evening when you called unexpectedly, and I was in the midst of sweeping, but even that evening, I could not settle down until I had written you. It gives me a lot of pleasure to know you are pleased with your ring. I should have been so disappointed if it had not been to your liking. Darling, everyone admires mine, and I am so proud of it. It is the loveliest and most costly thing I have ever had, and because you have given it to me, it is my most treasured possession. I am so glad you have been able to get a little relaxation and that you enjoyed the show. I am sorry you have not heard from home so long, but darling, I expect you will receive them all together, as they have doubtless been held up on both sides. Your first letters to me were held up 8 or 9 days, and I think some of mine to you must have taken about 6 days. Darling, please do not worry about the fly bombs. We do get them both day and night, but we don't take much notice of them, except keep away from glass when the doors and windows rattle. Of course, they do keep one awake at night, but tomorrow night I shall sleep peacefully at Cambridge, and I hope dream of my darling. Good night, and God bless you, my dear love, and keep you safe always, with all my love, from your Lucy. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We truly hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you'll return for the next episode of the All My Love Lucy podcast.